guys, welcome to Sage's Garage. Tomorrow morning, my dad and I are getting up bright and early because we are heading on a 4-hour road trip to go see Elin at Rusty Beauties. I'm so beyond excited for this collab because it means that we finally get to figure out what is savable for my engine and what has to go, and we can really start making progress into the finished product and getting it running again. So it's a very exciting day tomorrow. Right now, I'm packing up everything that I need to take with me tomorrow so that Elin can have a look. Here's everything that I'm bringing with me. You guys can kind of take a look and see, but I've got my carburetor here, and I've got my block and all sorts of important things, crankshaft, camshaft, and my luck, it's pouring rain right now. Not pouring, but it's starting to rain, and cylinder head, and basically all the important stuff. So let's go and pack this up. Guys, we finished packing everything up, but it is raining right now, so we will see you in the morning for a very exciting road trip. Hey everybody, we have been driving now for a few hours. We got up around like 5:30 a.m. and we got on the road around 6:30, and have a look at the weather. This is what we're driving through. It's definitely more rainy in person. The camera likes to make it nice and clear, but you can barely see the buildings up there, so yeah, super fun. I am now here at Rusty Beauties, and I am super duper excited for today. We are going to check everything out, and I'm gonna show you guys the whole process, so we're gonna get started.
Yeah, we're gonna get crack-a-lacking.
Get crack-a-lacking.
That's the right term.
Okay, we're gonna use,
garage.
okay, we're gonna say we're gonna get crack-a-lacking.
Just kidding.
I want to introduce you guys to Nick, Elin's son. You want to tell us what you're currently working on? You can show us after.
I'm working on a 1994 Mazda Miata with my dad, and I love it.
Yeah, it's super cool. Before we get started today, I wanted to have Elin show me around all of the cars that he's working on and that he has, so let's take a look around his garage.
Welcome to the Rusty Beauties garage, shop and area. So this is where I'm gonna start first to show you. This is my 1966 Spitfire, which I restored 6 or 7 years ago, and that's my daily driver every summer since. Except one summer in which I broke my leg, so I still drove it with my broken leg on the clutch.
Oh my gosh!
Not very often. Other than that, every summer I go to, like, it's my daily driver. I go to work with it when I used to work somewhere else, and that's where she lives all year long. Outside,
amazing.
Unfortunately, that's my motorcycle there. But
very nice.
Whatever. And here we have Nick's Miata.
You can come tell us about it.
Yeah, so we are restoring this as well. It was very rough shape. It was all rusted underneath. So this side is done. The other side is still messy, but we are working on that a little bit at a time. So it's 94 Miata NA.
Awesome.
So that's Nick's car.
Very cool.
There behind you I have another Spitfire. This is 68 Spitfire, which I bought with... I had the dream that I was going to restore this car as well. It's been probably 5 years already that she's sitting, and it's in a very rough shape. I stole the engine from this car and I rebuilt it, and I put it in the other one. I just stole the transmission from it. And I have an idea about this car to do something interesting with it, because I already have a Spitfire. So I'm thinking either to turn it into a Spit 6, which means to install a GT6 engine in it, or maybe even go further and cut it in the middle and stretch it and make it into a 4-seater.
Oh my gosh, that's actually really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That would be crazy.
If I don't do something like that, I'm not even gonna start working on it, because I don't know, it's not gonna be interesting. Then in this tent here, I have my 1972 TR6.
Wow.
So that's waiting to be restored, but I don't know when that's gonna happen.
You've also got a kitty up there.
Yeah, that's my cat. And that there is a 1962, I believe, Triumph TR4, but it's a friend's TR4, which I'm just storing.
Okay, nice.
So he's gonna restore it one day. And that, by the way, is my Spitfire original engine. It's a 60 from the 66.
Okay, very cool.
1100cc. Over there is my probably favorite car so far. This is the 1972 Triumph GT6,
Wow.
and I've been restoring it for the last 5 years, I should say. But I worked very intense on it for a year, and then I stalled it for 3-4 years, and now slowly I'm working on it again to put it together.
It's gonna be
So
amazing.
This is the frame
Wow.
with the suspension and everything. The engine just got rebuilt, but I haven't started it yet. I still have to finish some stuff on it. And once this is ready, then I have to paint the body, put it on. And just like you, I have a go for that car. I want in September to take it to the British Car Day.
Wow.
And then at the end of September, there's another show in the States. It's a six-pack. There's a club called Six Pack in
Okay.
the States I'm a member of. And I want to take it there. They have an event called the Trials, which is a very big event in the end of September. And I want to get it ready for them, but I don't see it happening anymore because I'm so busy with customer cars.
Oh no. That's
So-
very cool though. It's like awesome. It's so exciting.
So this is a customer's car.
Okay.
It's waiting for parts to come, but it is a really nice example of TR6. It's a 1973 TR6.
Okay.
So I've done some work on it, but it needs more parts, so I can do a little bit more work, and then she's gonna go away.
Go look over here. That's very cool. Look, give a look. The seats are incredible.
It has
They're
an
like
interior.
beautiful.
We installed the interior, so it's a very good example.
Well, that is amazing. Thank you so much for showing me around your garage.
One more car.
Oh.
That last car is still in the trailer I just brought yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a video about it. So this is my newest Rusty
That's
Beauty.
amazing.
It is 1957 TR3,
Wow.
and it is in a very rough shape. So
It's very cool.
maybe.
And then
the
there's
next
part of
time,
it?
no, yeah, the front end is already here.
Wow.
So one day I'm gonna restore it, unless I decide to abandon everything else and and start working this one. Because I love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Now, we've got to get to work. Okay, we have all of the parts out and ready to discuss.
All
What are
right.
you thinking?
So where do we start? So I think first we should inspect the block and see if the broken connecting rod made any damage in it.
Okay.
Make sure that it is usable, and then we're gonna measure the cylinders. In order to measure them, though, we have to. I know that you de-rusted them, but we need to run a hone through them to make sure that everything that shouldn't be there is not there.
Got it.
Then we're gonna measure the cylinders, and that's gonna tell us whether we're gonna be able to use these pistons or not. Because if we
Oh.
machine it out, then you're gonna have to buy bigger pistons.
Got it.
So if the block needs to be machined, then we don't even need to inspect these pistons.
Okay, amazing.
So this is number 3.
Okay.
Okay. So we have a little bit of a area here that was banged by the connecting rod, but it's not too bad because the piston doesn't go all the way here.
Okay.
You kind of see the line here. How
Oh,
far
yes.
the piston goes.
I do see that.
So it doesn't even reach this area.
Okay.
So that's not a big
That's
deal.
good.
So I don't see anything suspicious here.
All right.
So let's measure them and determine whether they need to be machined or not.
So I did have a question for you. If I wanted a little bit performance enhancement to make it better for the highway and a little bit faster, if I were to bore out cylinders more and get some oversized pistons, what is your opinion on that?
It's gonna make very slight difference,
Okay.
which it can be. This what you want to do. It can be achieved in a different way. I can show you a little bit later. So boring them out, this means that you're reducing the life of the engine later because you only can go up to certain diameter.
That makes
So
sense.
if you plan to keep this car for the next 50 years,
Yeah.
and you
Fingers
need to
crossed.
rebuild the engine again, you're gonna need at some point to machine it even wider. So you want to leave that room for spare.
For the future.
How
Okay.
you achieve a little bit more performance and higher compression ratio is you shave the bottom of the head.
Oh, okay.
So when you shave this, you reduce the combustion chamber. This is called the combustion chamber.
Oh.
That's the area in which the gases compress. The piston, when it goes all the way up, it reaches only to here, and now all the gases that were in this big volume are now compressed into this little chamber.
Okay.
So
got
the
it.
higher the pressure there,
The more.
performance you have.
Okay.
So you can make this volume smaller, and that's how this big volume gets compressed in smaller volume.
Okay.
We're gonna hone it now, because before we measure it, we're gonna hone it because it's gonna need to be honed anyways. And when you hone it, it might expand very little the size, but we don't want to measure it and then decide that it is good and then hone it, and all of a sudden now we're out of range.
Got it.
So we're gonna hone it first and then we're gonna measure. So for that, we're gonna spray WD-40 inside, and you're gonna see how this is gonna change how the cylinder looks. And now very slowly we're gonna go up and down when the
Oh my god. There, see that? That's super shiny now.
a little wear mark here where the rings stop, because the top of the piston stops here.
Okay.
The rings stop right here.
Oh, like these little.
Yeah, the top ring. So there's a little bit of a wear mark there.
These
So
rings.
it's not too bad.
Okay.
We'll see. I'm gonna go a little bit more,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna go and do them all, and then we're gonna measure them.
Take a look at the difference.
Yeah, there's a little ridge on top of all of them,
Okay.
which is telling me that they were worn already. I was kind of hoping that your engine was rebuilt before you bought the car, and somebody didn't assemble it properly, and that's why it dropped the connecting rod. But it looks like it wasn't rebuilt very recently, kilometer-wise or mileage-wise,
Okay.
because of this ridge everywhere. So I'm afraid that it's gonna have to go to a machine shop, but again, let's measure it.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
So then you'll be able to tell based on the specs whether it has been
Yes.
bored once already or
Yes.
Okay.
by how
Interesting.
much.
Okay.
So now we're gonna measure the bore of the cylinder. Bore is called the diameter. So the bore though is something that varies throughout the cylinder. Sometimes at the top it is narrower, at the bottom it wore a little bit wider, or the opposite actually happens. Sometimes it is worn a little bit out of round. Now it's not circle anymore, it's round. So it's not important only to measure the bore, but it's also important to measure it everywhere and compare all these measurements. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna measure 3 different heights.
Okay.
Top,
That makes
center,
sense.
and bottom. And that way we're gonna know whether it is tapered. But we're gonna also measure in 3 different positions. We're gonna call one position, it's gonna be perpendicular to the engine.
Okay.
Another position is gonna be 60 degrees clockwise, approximately. And another position is gonna be 60 degrees counterclockwise, or let's say different term in England, I forgot.
It's okay. I get it.
Counterclockwise, 60 degrees from the first line,
Yeah.
and this way we're going to be able to tell if it's out of round, because
Got it.
we're going to compare 1, 2, 3 measurements in each height. So we're going to measure 3
3 for
positions in 3 heights,
Got it.
and we're going to measure them at the end. We're going to compare them, and we'll see what the differences are.
Okay, that makes sense. I've got a chart here, and basically we're going to measure the bore of the cylinder at 3 different places at 3 different heights. So there's perpendicular to the block, 60 degrees clockwise, and 60 degrees counterclockwise. And then I'm going to measure the top, the center, and the bottom. And basically I'm going to write down the measurement of each, and we're going to see if it's tapered at all, if it's out of round, or anything like that. And I'm going to keep track. Elin calibrated the dial bore gauge, and now we're going to use it to measure the cylinders.
So we're gonna go in the first position, and more or less at the top, not all the way, but somewhere there. So we set the 2, so when it shows 0, it is actually 2.8900.
Okay.
And the difference between 0 and the actual number here tells us how much bigger we are than that number.
Okay.
So we have to add the 2 together. So this is from 0 to the left we're going, and we're looking at the red numbers, so that's 5, 10, and so 11, 12, 13, 13,000. So we're looking at the number which is the highest number, closer to the 0, because it, when I
Okay.
shake it, it goes to a certain point and then it starts going back down.
Okay.
So this is somewhere here. So that's 10, 11, 12, and then
12 and a half and a quarter.
Yeah.
Here's our first measurement, and here is how much bigger the top of the first cylinder is in the first position, so perpendicular to the block, bigger than this gauge. So now we're gonna go ahead and do the rest of the measurements, and we'll show you guys once we're done.
so this is 118, I would say. That's number 3, and then we're going at the bottom, first position, going 0, 1, 1, 2.
Here are our final measurements for the first cylinder. There are some pretty big differences here. We will find out the significance.
So now if
Here
we
we go.
look at these numbers, the difference between these 3 numbers is telling us how round the top
Yes.
is.
Okay.
So the smallest number is 23, the biggest number is 25, so our biggest difference that we have there is 0.002.
Two.
So we have two
Okay.
10,000ths out of round. This is called out of round
Okay. That
in
makes
this
sense.
location. So then we compare them the same way in
Okay.
the center of the cylinder. So this is between 17 and 23. So here we have a little bit bigger out of round.
Mm-hmm.
So that's from 17 to 23 is 6. And here we have from 09 to 18, that's 9
Goodness.
out of round. And so this is our out of round. Our biggest out of round that we found on this cylinder, let's say here, is going to be our lead number. That's what's important. And now we're going to have to look for taper. And to find the taper, it is, now we compare the numbers vertically. All the first positions at all 3 different heights. So here we have between 12 and 23.
Okay.
That's 11. 11 10,000ths of an inch out of round here. Here we have from 09 to 25, so that's 14.
Okay.
And here from 18 to 24 we have only 6. So our biggest taper is this one. So for our cylinder, our biggest taper is 0.014. And
Okay.
now we're gonna find the biggest number of these, which is 25, I believe. Now the biggest number is our biggest measurement in our cylinders. So we're gonna add it to this.
Okay.
So now we have the total measurement of this is actually 9,025, right? So we add this to this
Got it.
and we get this. That's our biggest measurement here, which is 25 10,000ths bigger than the spec, right? Because the spec you said it's
2.9. Okay.
2.900.
So we have my Haynes manual, and we were looking at the spec. This is for my engine, and it's 2.9. So we are 0.0025 bigger.
which is 2.5 thou.
2.5 thou. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Here are all the measurements from my cylinders, and we have the out of roundness and the tapers measurement, but the spec is 2.900. Here I have 2.5 thou bigger. This one is 4.7. This one is 4.9 thou, so almost 5, and then this one is over 5 thou, which means it's over halfway to the next size, which means they all need to be bored to the next 10 thou. Because of that, we don't need to worry about the out of roundness and the taper because they all need to be rebored. We filmed for so many hours that day that I am going to need to split up our day into a few episodes, so please don't be mad. In today's episode, I got to go to Rusty Beauty's garage, and I got to see all of Elin's projects he's working on. And then we checked the block for cracks, honed out the cylinders, and then we measured them to see if I need to get it machined, which we ended up determining that I will need to get my block machined. In the next episode, we will be taking a look at the camshaft and the crankshaft to see how they're looking, if they need to be machined, if they need to be replaced, and just everything that's up with them. I want to give the biggest thank you to Elin. I am so thankful for his help. That is the end of today's video, but I will see you guys next week for the next episode. Bye!